That was the Christmas candle, a red candle in a jam jar and sand. So, and we always had to turn the curtains up or pull them back or whatever, and then one in each window. And then a big thing was we called it going seeing the lights. We'd walk west the road or east the road or both ways or whatever. And then we'd look at every house and see a candle in every window, like they were big farmhouses with several windows up and several windows down. And we'd say, oh, their lights are beautiful. Oh, the lights are beautiful.
Oh,
We loved to do that. Yeah. Our mom used to go with us. No.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it must have been gorgeous.
It
to
was.
see. Yeah.
It was a great time, It was a great time. Well, we've come a long way to iPods and
Oh, yeah,
etc.
yeah, certainly have. I know you're a great dancer and you like to dance. Where did you learn how to dance?
At home, actually, my sister and I. Yeah, we just learned it from school, from somebody else in school, and we just do a few steps of the hornpipe and that, and reels and jigs, and of course my dad played the violin all the time. Oh, he played the violin, and my brother actually just wrote a song about that. How he played it in the morning and he played it at night, and this, that, and the other, and so recently my brother resurrected it and had it all tuned up, and now he's playing it.
Oh, how
Yeah.
wonderful.
So Dad would play the fiddle, my sister and I would dance, and my brothers would sing, and they would play their own instrument, like an accordion or whatever, a bodhrán accordion or whatever. So it was a family, sort of a family musical time, and great celebrating with no toys. We didn't need toys.
Yeah.
We had each other.
How did you learn how to play? Now, your dad, where did he learn how to play the violin?
I don't know. He never took lessons, but he could play any tune. And we learned to sing from songbooks. And, we all sang as best we could anyway.
Was your mother musical?
No, Mom would sing. She had a really high-pitched voice, God rest her soul.
Yeah.
But she would sing. She used to sing that song. It started, lay him away o'er the hillside, along with the brave and the bold.
Did you have a party song yourself? A party song. Did you have a song that you used to sing when the people gathered?
Oh, yeah, I'd probably sing everything. Sing away together,
Yeah, but you didn't have one that when your turn came?
Not that I remember.
No,
Not that I remember. But I'm sure I did know a lot of songs at the time.
And so now would that be something that of an evening people would sit and have a sing song, especially when the neighbors came, I imagine?
Yeah, it was at nighttime when everything was done.
Yeah.
And that would be with no neighbors, like at Christmas. And then Mom said, I'm going to put down a big fire. And she'd put down a big, huge fire in the open fireplace. And then we'd start to have, our party.
Yeah.
So, it was great, yeah. It was.
How about Stephen's Day?
St. Stephen's Day was more for the boys. They got a holly bush and they decorated it. And then they went from house to house singing the wren, the king of all birds. St. Stephen's Day, he was caught in the furs. Although he's little, his family's great. Get up, landlady, and fill us a treat, and this, that, and the other. So they might get a penny or two or whatever. You might get nothing at all or whatever,
And they just went
From house to house, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
did people visit you? Were there other
Yes, oh
people
yeah.
doing so?
Oh yeah, the same thing. Yeah, and you give them a couple of pennies or whatever, maybe some currant cake and a lemonade or something like that, Make it nice for them anyway.
Yeah. And were there dances?
There were, when we got older, there was a dance in Roscarbery, which we didn't go to, but there was what they called a pattern. It was an open-air dance at the corner of, like at an intersection. We call it an intersection. It was like at a corner of a couple of roads, crossroads.
Yes.
And somebody would play an accordion and, play a few waltzes or whatever. It was a place to get together. But I really didn't get to go to the pattern. I don't know if my sister did either very much. There wasn't one close to us, but there were,
That would be an outdoors
Yeah.
type of a dance.
Yeah, outdoor,
Dance.
yeah.
Did your family speak Gaelic?
They did some, yeah. They did. Not a lot, but they did. We had to learn a certain amount of it going to school, but we never really spoke it amongst ourselves like they did in the Gaeltacht or other parts of Ireland. We weren't in a Gaelic speaking area, or like North Cork was. Yeah.
So, so is there any phrases that you still use now that you would
Um,
say in the Irish?
oh, not too much. You'd say like, "How are you?" kind of start to, and say, "Well, I'm well," or "I'm good." Actually, you'd say, "Tá mé go maith," and then you'd say, "Thank you, gur raibh maith agat," or "I'm going to town today, tá mé ag dul go dtí an Ballamore," or a few sayings like that. I know we spoke a lot more of it when we were young, but we didn't keep it up.
Yeah.
But now I think they're going to be coming to teach it in the universities in the United States. Yeah,
It's nice
like
to
in
see.
Notre Dame in Indiana and a few others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's being all revived. It's
Yes.
wonderful, isn't it?
Isn't it
Yeah,
great?
it
Yeah,
really is wonderful.
it
Yeah.
is.
Um, the drama, sports, anything like that you were involved
Not
in?
in our area. No, there was bowling for the boys.
What's
Bowling
that?
they had was I'm not sure how much it weighed. A heavy iron bowl. They called it a bowl. Was different, but they did it along the road.
Oh.
They wound up, and then they threw it. Oops, there goes the water. And they threw it, and they had bet on it. They would bet on it, like bet maybe a shilling if they had it, or a few pence or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's still in effect today. They do it a lot. It's in North Cork today, and I don't know, other places too, I think.
And it would be on the road.
On the road, and they even had it down pat that they could do it around the corner. They could get it around the corner. They lost a few because it went into the dike,
Ditches
Yeah.
there on the side
Yeah.
of the road. Yes.
Yeah, but that's what it was. It was small, fit in the palm of their hand, but they had to wind their arms several times and run, and then at the right time they would just let it go.
And your family, did they?
Yeah, my brothers loved to do it on Sunday afternoon. It was the only time they could do it. Yeah. So I remember my brother Dan, God rest his soul, he would say to Mom, "Oh, come on, Mom, give us a bob." A bob was a shilling.
Yes.
Give us a bob. So, for they called it a score, going to the score. That's what it was.
And was it something that spectators would stand and watch?
Oh, yes.
Play?
Oh, yeah, big following. Once that guy threw the ball, then they'd all follow him, and they'd go to find it and then start from there again.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's how that went.
How about Easter? Was Easter a big celebration as well?
No, not really.
No.
Not really around our place anyway. No, it wasn't. Again, it was a church time Easter, but and a feasting time.
Yes.
But other than that was probably it about Easter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And how about missions? Did you have missions?
We
in your
did.
area?
Yeah,
What
we
were the
did.
missions like?
Oh, the missions were fire and brimstone. Fire and brimstone. We used to be shaking. Yeah, but we'd get we get holy pictures, and we'd go to the mission, and Mom and Dad would go and listen to the sermons and so on, and hope to do better than you were doing.
Was it kind of a required? I mean, would people stay away from, or would everybody make sure you got to the missions?
Well, in our house, my father really wanted us to go to the mission, and we did, of course, So it was a little scary when we were younger, because you felt like you were bad when you really weren't doing anything bad, And I don't know what it was all about. They don't have it anymore anyway,
How was death treated in your community? How was it handled?
Death was very very dignified thing. It was all within the home mostly, People died at home usually in those days, and probably a lot of times they didn't know why they died. They just became very ill, and they got old, and they just got weaker and weaker, and they died, and they didn't always know why they died, because they had no CAT scans or you have to go to the big city, and they had X-ray, but that's all they had in those days, But They all died with dignity, with no machines or anything, you know. And most people lived to be a very good age in Ireland. Most people lived to be a very good age, but that again was a community thing, you know. You had special sheets, and they went from whoever needed them. They would line the wall with the sheets, you know, and then the person would be laid out in the bed with all the sheets all around, you know, and so on. And everybody would come and sympathize with the relatives, or, you know, with the mother if it was a child or whatever, you know. I remember when one of my little sisters, baby Joan, died. She was only a month old when she died. I'm touching this. And my mom was so broken-hearted, and everybody would come in and file by the bed, and they would say, "I'm sorry for your trouble, ma'am," you know. And she was crying, you know, and we were all up the field together, all us children, you know. And that's how it was, you know. People came and sympathized, and that's how it was. Yeah. She was laid out in the bed with a little bunch of phlox flowers in her hands. I can still see it to this very day.
Yeah.
My other little sister died in childbirth, was much older than me. But, you know.
Um, what was your favorite time of the year when you were growing up over there?
Probably summer holidays. Probably summer holidays when we could be home, you know, helping out on the farm or doing whatever we did, you know.
Yeah.
It was about the happiest time.
If you were to describe a typical Irish sky, what would it be?
Oh, beautiful sunny day with white fluffy clouds. Yeah, blue skies and white fluffy clouds. Yeah, and we had our share of rain, of course, don't get me wrong, but...
There's something awfully beautiful about an Irish sky.
Yes.
How about a night sky?
A night sky is another story. The stars are bright. And you can hear and see forever, it seems like, from the country, when you're in the country, you know. But it stays lighter longer, too, you know. Some nights it could be still light at 10:30. You could still see your neighbor's house at 10:30, you know. And, that was night. You hear all the animals crying and what have you.
You were talking before about some of the wonderful cakes and things your mother made. Did you bring those recipes with you, or are they things you still make to this day?
No, I make raisin bread, but not the kind that she did. I make raisin bread. They call it Irish raisin bread, you know. It's a different type. It's a drier type. You have to put butter on it. She made that kind too, you know, to take out to the field. She made the big ones, and she had to make a lot of cakes during the day because there were so many of us, you know. And but they made a different type. The one that I have, I don't know who gave me the recipe for that. I think it was my Aunt Margaret gave me the recipe for that originally.
And was she here in the States?
Yes, she was.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, she was.
What gave you the idea that you would come to the States? You said something about being in England first?
Oh, yeah. It's such a long story, actually, but I'll make it short. I grew up in Ireland, and I really, you know, wanted to be a nurse always. And we had 8 of us in our family, but you had to have £1,000 to put down before you could be a nurse. And then they were very selective about who they took. They would take the rich people, you know, first, like the doctors and the lawyers' daughters or whatever. So I decided I would go to England to be a nurse. My sister was already there, but I applied to a few hospitals, and I got, you know, favorable replies from several, but I picked a hospital in North London, Whittington Hospital. So I went there and did my training there and had a great training, you know. I met other girls from West Cork, and eventually we got an apartment together. And we had one girl from Longford that lived with us, but the others were from County Cork. So, you know, I graduated from there. And
so how old were you when you went there?
21.
21.
Yeah.
Okay. And how'd your mother feel and your dad feel about you leaving to go off to school at that age?
They were okay. They were okay with it. You know, they were okay. We used to get a month holidays every year, we'd take the boat, the Innisfallen, over to Cork City, and they'd come up in the horse and cart for us. And in later years, my brother had a car then. He had an old Ford Prefect, so they'd come with the car.
So you got to go back. Now, did you get to go back like at holidays, like Christmas or anything like that?
No, you just one
the once a
one
year?
month. You had 1 month, and that was it. And oh, it was a sad time leaving.
Oh, I bet.
My brothers, my sister, like I said, had already gone. My brothers, they couldn't talk to me for about 2 days before I left, because they'd peeking around corners and their eyes were all red. They were just, parting was terrible. Parting was heartbreaking, and took a while to get over it again. When you got back, settled down again. Yeah.
And so then you made a decision to come to the States.
Well, then I met Carol's father, Tom Murray. He was from Westmeath, and we were married
in England.
In England, yeah. We got engaged in 50. We were married in 59. We were home in Ireland in the Christmas time of 60 in Westmeath, and Tom Ganley and Jim were home. And they said to Tom, "Did you ever think of coming to the States?" And he said, "No. We were settled in England now." So anyway, he said, "Would you like to go to America?" I said, "No." So anyway, he got that into his head, and we ended up here. Yeah,
So,
Tom Ganley sponsored us out here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Never knew. So
yeah.
you're one of the few people that we've talked with that got married
in England. Yeah.
Most people met here.
Yeah.
And married here.
No.
So you met Tom. And
yeah.
what was Tom doing over?
In England, he was working for a company that set up for exhibitions. They used to set up for exhibitions and so on. And we lived in North London. Yeah. I finished my nurse's training, and I was still working at the hospital,
And how did you
Life was good. I loved it there,
Yeah.
and I was just so sad coming here. We sailed for 7 days from Southampton to Hoboken in New Jersey. And Tom Ganley and Uncle Joe met us down there.
Your uncle?
Yeah.
Was it your uncle?
Uncle Joe, yeah.
And how'd your family feel about you leaving and going?
Oh, they were heartbroken. They were heartbroken. I was, like, my sister lived in England also, and we were so close and together a lot, And so we were sailing out anyway, and parted with her in Southampton, and the next thing we got a call from ship to shore or whatever, shore to ship or whatever. I started crying all over again. It was heartbreaking. It was just heartbreaking leaving all my family behind.
Oh my
gosh. But, life went on, and, that's how it was.
And tell me when you left. You left from Southampton, and do you remember the date?
Oh, God, I don't remember exactly the date that I left.
What month and what year?
I know it was in the summertime when we arrived here. Oh, gosh, it was before the 4th of July. That's what it was. No, it wasn't. It was the day after. It was the 5th of July. That's what it was.
What year?
Yeah. Let's see, 61.
61.
61, yeah. Yeah.
And how did you travel? You traveled by what boat? What ship?
The Holland America line, the Staten Dam. Yeah, it was a beautiful liner.
And did you enjoy the journey except that you were leaving?
We did, yeah, we did. We really did. It was a great crossing, and there was a lot of activity, and, the food and everything was wonderful. Yeah. But I was still homesick.
Oh, I bet. Now, you said that Tom Ganley brought you out or
sponsored us out here, yeah.
And now, where did your husband come from? Was it Westmeath?
Yeah, Westmeath, yeah. Just very close to Tom. They're first cousins.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, Tom's mom and Tom's dad were brother and sister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So, what did you think when you got here?
Oh, it was overwhelming, actually. It was overwhelming because then I knew that I couldn't work here as a nurse. And, my training wasn't at all compatible with what I would have to do here. So I had to take 2 12-week courses. I had to actually go up to Fairfield Hills there to where the mental hospital was. I had to live there for 3 months. And that time, Tom probably could get up just once during the week, and then I'd come home for weekends. By that time, he had got a car, which was good. So But then I had to take psych there, and I had to do 12 weeks at St. Vincent's. The St. Vincent's was very good to me when I came here and helped me and didn't charge me anything for the courses or anything. Finally, I had to go up to Hartford and take my state boards in this country that, was totally different from our state boards were essay, you wrote, you enumerated. So anyway, somebody was praying for me, but I passed anyway. Then I worked at St. V's from 61 to 96. Yeah, retired. Yeah.
What department did you work in?
In St. V's?
Yeah.
I worked in a few places, but I ended up in surgical floor, and that's where I retired from. Yeah.
So now, how did you get to when you first came over? Did you live in Fairfield right away? Or
No, we lived with Uncle Joe in Bridgeport and
whereabouts
Aunt
in
Margaret,
Bridgeport?
Joe Murray, in the South End, Park Terrace.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
we lived there. Yeah, they were great.
And what did Tom go to work doing?
He didn't get a job for quite a while. And he went to work for Detroit Controls